this is a huge problem in a community where a huge amount of people is just interested in this buyback nonsense, and XRPL will be backed by gold and all stuff. Imagine all the effort and all the time and all the energy that goes into discussions about a buyback and can XRP be backed by gold, and solving riddles of random pictures would go into building stuff. We would have been caught up 2 or 3 years at least.
Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and that was the CTO of Casino Coin, Daniel Keller. He was on a Community Masterminds Twitter space hosted by Kaj, the founder of On XRP, and former Ripple employee Bob Way. This space was full of builders, including the founder and CEO of GateHub. It's interesting to know more precious metals are going to be expanding on the XRP Ledger, and also coming with an integration with MetaMask. That is really big. Bringing that Ethereum value just in NFTs alone, that's doing millions of dollars a day. Well, this tidbit of information should tell you that the XRP Ledger is poised for massive growth. Daniel will be on my channel next week, and there are a few announcements. Yeah, one of them is that Casino Coin is going to become a Y asset on the Flare Finance platform. This cross-chain interoperability for the XRP Ledger ecosystem brings DeFi into the mix. Let's listen to just a little bit more of that Twitter space.
We then should probably stop putting funds into projects that have no greater value for the ecosystem. And by that, I mean funding stuff that's, don't want to say ridiculous, but that doesn't make any sense. And give funds out to people who have an interest in building and have the are capable of building something, have the skill set, can manage their time, and are probably willing to quit their 9 to 5 to get this done. Your ISO 222 will flip the switch is nonsense. Then you're going to get shafted by people telling you, oh, you should do all the research. And then there's stuff like, and this is the greatest example. So I was reading a tweet from someone who is working on another project and somehow decided to become an influencer or whatever, and tweeted the stuff out which says Ripple had been the first board member of the ISO 222 thingy, right? And one night I was wondering where this fucking quote came from. So I Googled that, and it took me 5 seconds to figure out it came from a Ripple press release, but they did cut out the second half of the sentence, which said the first member focus DLT, right? And that's the people we're dealing with. So please stop blasting all this bullshit and trying to get rich overnight because you missed Bitcoin or missed early Ethereum, whatever. If you're interested in this ecosystem growing and moving forward, support people that are building applications that cost you $5 a month, right? That will help because you ensure this team has enough funding to keep building, right? Also, it's a great signal to other teams that if you're building a good product, people will honor that. And if I see that 150,000 monthly users using some, I'm wondering why not 80,000 of those have a fucking pro subscription. That's what you should do. Stop retweeting the next influencer or the next Riddler or the next buyback proposal analysis model bullshit. Get a fucking pro subscription.
Yes, Daniel is passionate about building, so it'll be fun to have him on the channel. All right, let's jump over to a new video that came out from Bloomberg today with Brad Garlinhouse. He had a lot of really great things to say, and he's tweeting this video out.
The SEC bringing the case against Ripple was not really just a case about Ripple or about XRP. It's really about the industry and how the SEC is kind of playing offense and attacking the whole industry. 2.5 years ago when this started, I'm not sure everyone fully digested that, and now that is widely understood. This is going to be pivotal for the whole industry because if the SEC is able to prevail, I think there's a lot of other cases, and some of them just in the last 4 weeks, I think they brought 5 additional enforcement cases. The macro headline for me is this is not a healthy way to regulate an industry. Your regulation through enforcement, as opposed to where we're seeing in other countries where they're doing the work, right? They're codifying, they're creating a framework that allows an industry to grow while protecting consumers. And I think that's really what the U.S. is lagging. And to some degree why I'm here in Washington is to continue to try to evangelize and educate. Here's how these technologies can really benefit consumers, benefit industry.
Is what I'm hearing from you essentially, if the U.S. doesn't get its act together and move more quickly, all of this is going offshore. It's just going elsewhere.
Well, it already is. I mean, the sad reality is that the U.S. really is already behind. This is not behind countries that we haven't necessarily heard of. This is behind Australia and behind the UK, Japan, Singapore, Switzerland. There's a lot of countries that have taken the time and thoughtfulness to create that clear rules of the road. By contrast, when I first got involved in the tech industry in the late 90s, some were saying the internet should be banned. They were saying, like, here's how the internet is being used for illicit purposes. But the U.S. government said, no, we're going to create a framework. And that allowed entrepreneurs, that allowed investors to come in and look at the benefits to the United States on a geopolitical basis to have the Amazons and Googles based and headquartered in the United States. We're at, I think, severe risk of having that not happen in this next evolution of technology around blockchain and crypto. It has already started moving outside the United States. And also, the consumers are suffering because of that, because you don't have the same protections that the U.S. regulatory frameworks can provide.
What would a good framework look like, in your view?
Well, look, I think what you're seeing right now is the Securities and Exchange Commission. If you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And not everything here is a nail. And I think any framework has to start with clear protections for consumers, but then to thoughtfully understand that these aren't always going to be securities. Some of them are used as currencies. That is, having an efficient process to trade, exchange, move those things would be much harder in a world if they were regulated as securities.
We're now going to jump over to 2 clips from the Ripple Labs Managing Director and Senior Vice President of Asia. This would be Brooks Entwistle. He is bullish because, well, there's a lot going on in that part of the world, especially for XRP. Have a listen.
Everybody's watching this Ripple versus SEC case. It's going to be a landmark case. It will not only have impact on Ripple and XRP users, but the entire industry at large. How soon can we get a decision? What's the lay of the land there? What are the implications you think that the lawsuit for the crypto industry as a whole will have when we get the results of that case?
Well, you're absolutely correct that this is not just about Ripple. It's about the entire industry, and it's about innovation in the United States. And we can't predict timing. We have done all we can on our side. We've made our best case. It is now with the judge, and we would hope and expect that in the first half of 2023, there would be some resolution. But again, timing-wise is something that's completely beyond us. And it's actually a really important point and segue to kind of how do you deal with a company during this time? And I mentioned the focus on building. Our employees get up every day, and while they do read these news articles and watch broadcasts like this, if they are certainly outside the U.S., they get up every day ready to build because they can build. When you wake up every day and you're worried about, whether or not the regulation is going to go against you, it does make it very difficult to build companies and to build teams, not just for Ripple, for the industry. And so, and that's been true, by the way, that was true in the gig economy and in Web 2.0, where it was a heavily regulatory environment. And I was a participant in that in my previous role. And so we've been through this before, but I only know one thing to do, which is to get our people waking up excited about innovation, excited about making a difference. And we're coming to you, and you and I are both talking in Asia. I mean, we're in the land of innovation here on fintech, and we're in the land of innovation on blockchain and the use of crypto. And so that is a great way to wake up, and not to wake up and think first about regulation coming down on you. Asia Pacific is our biggest market. And that is not true for every Silicon Valley based technology company. It's highly unusual, actually. And when you wrap in the mega region that's run out of Singapore, which includes Dubai and the Middle East and South Asia, our joint venture in Japan, and of course ANZ, when you put all that together, it's well over the majority of our business volume on the network and uptake of our product on demand liquidity. And so that actually is really encouraging. It keeps our people motivated. And I'm a big believer in Singapore as a jurisdiction, as a place. Sometimes things don't move as quickly on the regulatory front, but it's thorough, and when it comes out, it's right and done right.
Do you think Asia can lead the way for digital transformation of money?
I do. I think there are a few places, and I've had this discussion with regulators and with government officials, and certainly have been on the record with this for a long time in Singapore. Right back to the point, I sat on a capital markets committee at the MAS 10 years ago when I first came here with Goldman Sachs, and I really realized that this is not about a Southeast Asia lead that Singapore is playing for. It's not about an APAC lead. It should be about a global opportunity. And can Singapore be a leader globally? And I think fintech, crypto, and blockchain is one of those very unique areas where all this ecosystem can come together and really lead. And that pulls all of Asia with it.